He was born under the shadow of death, raised as a prince in the palace of his enemies, cast out into the wilderness as a fugitive. And yet, he returned to shake the foundations of an empire. One man, armed with nothing but faith and a staff, would challenge the most powerful kingdom on earth, call down plagues from heaven, split a sea in two, and lead a nation to freedom. But his greatest battle wasn't against Pharaoh. It was against doubt, fear, and the weight of a destiny too great for any man to carry. This is the story of Moses, the man who walked with God, stood against kings, and changed the course of history forever. Welcome back to the channel, where we bring the Bible to life like never before. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a powerful story that will inspire and transform your faith. And if you've been following our journey, welcome back. We're so glad to have you. Today we're diving into one of the most extraordinary stories in history, the story of a man who was born to die but destined to deliver. A man raised as a prince yet called to be a prophet. A man who would stand before the greatest ruler of his time and declare, "Let my people go." This is the story of Moses, the man who defied Pharaoh, split the sea, led millions to freedom, and spoke face to face with God. But his journey wasn't just about miracles. It was about obedience, faith, and a battle against doubt that every one of us can relate to. Get ready, because this is not just a story from the past. It's a message for today. So grab your Bible, stay till the end, and let's uncover the incredible journey of Moses, the man who walked with God. The story of Moses begins in a time of immense suffering for the people of Israel. After the days of Joseph, a new Pharaoh arose over Egypt, one who did not remember how Joseph had once saved the land from famine. This Pharaoh saw the Israelites as a growing threat, fearing that they might rise in rebellion against Egypt. To suppress them, he enslaved the Israelites, forcing them to labor under cruel taskmasters. They built cities like Pithom and Ramesses, enduring backbreaking labor. But despite the oppression, the Israelites multiplied. This alarmed Pharaoh even more, leading him to take a sinister step. He ordered the Hebrew midwives Shiphrah and Puah to kill every male Hebrew child at birth. Yet these women feared God more than Pharaoh. They defied his order, letting the Hebrew boys live. When Pharaoh confronted them, they cleverly responded, "The Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive." Exodus 1:19. Seeing that his plan had failed, Pharaoh commanded his people, "Every son who is born to the Hebrews you shall cast into the Nile, but you shall let every daughter live." Exodus 1:22. Thus, an era of slaughter began, as innocent Hebrew babies were torn from their mother's arms and thrown into the great river. Amidst this crisis, a Levite couple, Amram and Jochebed, gave birth to a baby boy. The mother, seeing that he was a beautiful and special child, could not bear to surrender him to death. For 3 months she hid him in their home, muffling his cries and keeping him away from Egyptian eyes. But she knew she could not hide him forever. In desperation, she devised a daring plan. She wove a basket of papyrus reeds, sealing it with bitumen and pitch to make it waterproof. Then, with trembling hands, she placed her baby inside and set him afloat on the Nile River, praying that God would preserve his life. His sister Miriam followed from a distance, watching anxiously as the basket drifted among the reeds. At that moment, Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river. As she and her maidens walked along the banks, she noticed the basket. Curiosity led her to open it, and there, wrapped in a Hebrew cloth, lay a crying baby boy. Despite knowing her father's decree, compassion filled her heart. "This is one of the Hebrew children," she said. Just then, Miriam, seizing the opportunity, stepped forward. "Shall I go and call a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" she asked. Pharaoh's daughter agreed, and without hesitation, Miriam ran to fetch Jochebed. When she arrived, Pharaoh's daughter handed the baby back to her, saying, "Take this child and nurse him for me, and I will give you wages." Exodus 2:9. Thus, in an extraordinary turn of events, Moses' own mother was hired to care for him, and she nurtured him in the safety of her arms, teaching him of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When the child grew older, Jochebed brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, and he was adopted as her son. She named him Moses, meaning drawn out of water, for he had been lifted from the Nile by divine intervention.